Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Make Art with Mrs. M. I have with me today a landscape that is showing a desert scene. So, this is a landscape, and landscapes show places. It usually is a natural scene, and I like this because the colors, the sand and the sky are nice warm colors. So I want to go ahead and show you how I did this and then let you have a chance to draw along with me or draw one of your very own. The main thing I want to point out is that the cactuses that I have drawn are three different sizes. In real life, they're probably actually the exact same size or close to the same size, but they're different sizes here because one is near and one is further away, and one is very far away. And so by where we place them on the page or putting them higher up on the page and making them smaller creates the illusion that they are further away. So let's get started with trying to do that. The very first thing I did was I started at the bottom of the page and I went up about to the middle of the page and then I curved and it came back down. This is going to be for my first big cactus here. And then I started adding cactus parts. These look like arms. When you look at this, it looks like a cartoon character guy with really big muscular arms. And I'm going to add a smaller one here. Okay. Then what I'll do is add some lines here that match the shape that it is. So these lines are straight because this area of the cactus is pretty much straight. These lines will curve because this area of the cactus is curved. There. All right, so the next thing I'll do is I'm going to add a layer of sand. And so in the drawing that I did, I started on one side of the cactus and I continued the line on the other side of the cactus and made it slant down a little ways like so. And I used lots of different color combinations to make the sand different colors in the different areas. Okay, here's another area where there's more sand. Okay, so right about here I'm going to draw the next cactus and I'm going to make its height be no taller than the first cactus. Easy, right? This time I'm going to do the same thing, repeat those steps, draw a few lines on there, and all right, and now I'll keep going. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is add another line here, more sand, and it's a larger area. And so way off in the distance, right about here in between these two cactuses, is going to be one more cactus, but it's going to be tiny. I think I'll use a smaller marker to draw this. It's going to be tiny, much smaller. Same shape though, just much smaller. I'm going to put some bumpy lines there so you can see the sand that it's sitting in. Great. While I'm using this smaller marker, I'm going to add a few little spikes or thorns. I wonder what these are called. Prickles? Maybe thorns. I know roses have thorns. It's a plant too. I'm making them go in all kinds of crazy directions because you never know which one of these is going to prickle you when you get close to a cactus. It's not fun. I've touched a cactus before, not one of these, but the tiny ones that you buy for your home, just out of curiosity to see how it felt. And yeah, it does hurt. It does hurt. So adding these is a nice step. It's one of those fine details that you probably don't want to leave out because it makes it just look that much more cactus-ish. Okay, this little guy, I'm going to pretty much leave him alone. I'm not going to try to do too many prickles because that'll be hard. Some cactuses have flowers that bloom, and they just sit right on top of this part and this part. And I'm going to add a few cactus flowers. I didn't do that on my original design. I just didn't think of it. But now that I think of it, you know, every time I draw something, it's just going to get a little better. And so this drawing will be better than the first one. Yeah, cactus flower on the top of that one there. I'm not going to add one here because I don't want it to interfere with that line. Okay. There we go, cactus flowers. So the cactuses are in bloom. Next I'm going to add this row of mountains, and sometimes when we make mountains we tend to want to do the sharp zigzagging line. Most mountains are pretty old and they've been weathered by rain and wind, and they are old and rounded. They're not sharp. The rocks on them might be sharp, but the mountains themselves, their outline in the distance is never sharp. Next, I want to add some clouds in the distance. This cloud is going to be coming in here. All right. Clouds are one of those things that on sunset that capture the light. You see these clouds here have a little bit of the pink on it. They capture the light and they don't just stay plain white like we normally see them on a blue sky day. Something else that I'm thinking of doing while I'm here is adding some more details. Like maybe I want to add some rocks, because after all, it is the desert. There's just an oval and some dots there, and maybe I want to add some additional cactuses. You know, cactuses like to grow in groups and bunches. Yeah, put a few spikes on this guy, and maybe a cactus flower too. So I'm just adding a few more things for my desert to just be more desert-ish. So a few more rocks out here in the distance. Okay, and notice that these rocks are about this size, and then over here these rocks are getting smaller off in the distance. Okay, I wanted to tell you about how I made all these different colors. Well, I gathered these colors, and mostly what I used, and I also used these for the sky, mostly what I used were these colors, which are called warm colors. They're the colors that remind us of heat and sunshine and fire and warmth. And so I used mostly these warm colors in addition to this brown, because the desert is quite brownish. But my sky, I started the sky, and I'm just going to do a small section. I started the sky right there behind the mountains, right there behind the mountains. And I colored really dark yellow down here by the mountains. But as I got higher up, I went lighter and lighter and lighter and softer. And then I took the pink and I colored the pink on top of the yellow. And just when I got close, I just made it really light. So it kind of blended together and makes this gradual change of colors. I'll let you look at that up close. Makes that gradual change of colors. Now, when I did the sand in this area, I used a little bit of a regular orange for this sand area. And although sand can be reddish, I don't think it's quite this orange, But I know when I was a child, I lived in Alabama, and that sand, that dirt, it was clay colored. It would stain my white sneakers. Yes. Okay, so I did a little bit of that. Wait, I think I used some yellow orange with it to make it brighter. So I used orange and yellow orange together in this area. When I combine that like so, you see what happens? See, it just gets a little, makes that orange just a little bit brighter. I love that. In this section, I did orange and brown. So I'm going to give you a little orange. And I try to color all in the same direction. And see how I'm coming back over it and smoothing out. I'm coloring all in the same direction with that one. And then I'll add the brown in a different direction. And then come back in the opposite direction to add the brown and get all the colors mixed in good. Now with paint, it's easier to mix colors, but you can also mix colors with crayons. Crayons will allow you to mix colors. So that's how I got this brown. And in this area here, and I like to call this the foreground, and that's what it's called in the landscape. It's called the foreground. It's the area that's closest to us, closest to the viewer, or closest to you. So I did a yellow area, and then I did a little brown with it, right on top. And I'm coloring softly with this brown because yellow is such a light color. And then I'll go in a different direction and add another soft layer of brown on top. So when you look at those colors, they look just richer by mixing two colors together. And that's basically what I did for this. And so when I was all done, I had this wonderful thing here to look at and be proud of. I always say this, and you know I'll say it again. Art makes you smart. Thank you for spending time with me today, drawing this landscape. I hope that you come back and draw with me. Signing out for today. Goodbye from Mrs. M.